This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and I'm finally back after all the issues I was having. Man, y'all just don't know, man. This was like a bad situation for me. Man, I mean, coming to find the internet went down in my area. Then the next thing I know, I found out that my router was bad. Then even after I get the new router, then coming to find out I needed a router extender to put into my war room. Sat up there, missed putting out my not mock draft, which I'm really upset about. Wasn't able to get online, wasn't able to do anything until they fixed everything. Finally, I am back, and I'm back just in time to give you guys my evaluation of Adam Peters' first draft here in Washington. I will say this, it was actually a fairly good draft. There was one pick I did not like, and I'm going to tell you, it's not that I didn't like the player. Well, it's not that it was the options that were available when you took this player. So that was my issue. That doesn't mean that the player isn't going to be good or can be good. It's just that this particular pick I didn't really, it came off as something, but I'll tell y'all when I get to it. But let's start from the very top. Jaden Daniels, we knew this was going to happen. This was a very good pick at quarterback. I'm going to tell y'all, I was concerned about the Drake May thing. At first I was like, there's no way, but then as time went on, all my tension had eased, because at that point I knew Adam Peters was not going to take Drake May. Was still surprised that New England took Drake May, but the fact that we didn't take Drake May and we took Jaden Daniels, that was the best thing for us. Again, it made all the sense in the world for Cliff Kingsbury. He's used to those type of quarterbacks. I said this all along, like, it's never, you get more out of a player when you can adapt him to a scheme that is more familiar to him versus sitting up there trying to force a player to learn a new scheme. So again, fantastic pick at the quarterback position. That was number one. The second best thing that Adam Peters did was feel fine with coming down 10 slots, picking up another second round pick, and selecting 3 players in the second round. That was a genius move to sit up there, let Philadelphia come up to the 40th overall pick, take their 50th overall, take their 53rd overall pick, and get their 50th overall pick. I mean, to have been able to select 3 players in the second round, that was absolute genius. And to start off with the first player in the second round, a guy who was not supposed to be in the second round, Jer'Zhan Johnny Newton, the D tackle out of Illinois. That was a fantastic snag. Not only that, I mean, I know a lot of people are like, yo, we got Jonathan Allen, we got Daron Payne, we got Big Philly, we got Big Philly Matt, and we got John Ridgeway. The thing about Johnny Newton or Jer'Zhan is that he can actually play edge and he can play tackle. So it's one of those things where even though he's listed as a defensive tackle, he can play edge, so it's not that big of a deal to sit up there and have him move to the edge. Remember, Jonathan Allen can also play edge as well, so if they ever was to do something where they have a defense where they go to the 3-4, you can have Jonathan Allen and him both play the edge, or you can sit up there and have them move out to the edge. So Again, great and fantastic pickup. That was a very smart move. The very next pick was a genius pick. Again, very smart picking. Mike Sandersteele, they call him Mikey during the games. So I'm not certain if he's still going to be going by Mikey or if he's going to be called Mike. Mikey or Mike Sandersteele, my evaluation of this guy was that I wasn't certain he was going to be in the second round at all. I thought he was going to go to the first round because as a slot corner, he was the best slot corner on this board, in this draft. But when I saw the corners fall, I knew there was a chance that he was going to be in the second round. I didn't know he was going to be this far down in the second round. And for us to snag him again, he fits Dan Quinn and Joe Witt's defense. He's an aggressive corner that can flip from the inside to the outside, doesn't get lost in coverage that often, comes up tackle, is very effective when it comes to tracking the football, and is able to get himself out of trouble. He's exactly all the things that I had an issue with Quan Martin last year. Like, everything that's special about Mikey or Mike Sandersteele is all the things that I was agitated about with Quan Martin last year. Quan Martin wasn't that great of a slot corner and things like that. But now you talking about we got the best slot corner in the draft. Man, that was a great pick. Then to follow that up with Ben Sonot, man, again, you get a very good tight end. Very good blocker. Very deceptive in the passing game. Makes plays. Will have to find ways to get for him. You're gonna have to find more creative ways to get him open, because I think that he can be a far superior tight end if you find really inventive ways to get him open, because he can be a very good threat, along with if you can do something with Evan Turner. And for all of y'all, if Amari Rodgers comes back, you're talking about you will have 3 solid guys along with John Bates. You had 4 solid guys that you could really do a lot with. So again, I love the Ben Sonot pick. In the third round, Brandon Coleman. That was actually the only issue I had with Brandon Coleman is the speed to power guys. The benefit that we have in the NFC East is that we don't have a lot of those guys in the NFC East. Like, Dallas doesn't have anybody. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence can kind of do it. But yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence, yeah. And Kayvon Thibodeau, they both have that speed to power. Philly, I don't think has anybody, but the thing about it is, will he play tackle or will he play guard? He's not the fastest guy. Like I said, the speed to power guys is his problem. And being as though if he plays tackle, he would have to really find a way to set himself where he doesn't get beat like that, where he doesn't really get beat that badly. And if he plays guard, he's going to be playing against power guys a lot. So that might be a huge issue for him. But beyond that, the guy is actually a very good offensive lineman. He gets his hands in the way. He does take up a lot of space. He does do a good job. He does a fantastic job with operating against guys who has moves. So if a guy goes into a spin move, try to knock his hands down, things like that, he actually does a very good job against guys like that. Like I said, his only issue is speed to power guys. So maybe moving him to guard may be the better thing. But we'll see what they do in regards to will he be a tackle or will he be a guard. The pick I didn't like. Luke McCaffrey, the wide receiver out of Rice. It felt more like this particular pick to me felt more like, I know Luke, I like Luke, I'm gonna take Luke here. Not the skills of Luke. In my evaluation process of Luke, I saw that he was very real thin. And not only that, he's a quarterback who converted to wide receiver. So not only that, I think he only converted this year. I think he was a quarterback last year, and he just recently converted to wide receiver this year. Doesn't get off the line that well. Again, you're talking about this, the NFL. Defenders will lock him up. So he doesn't get off the line well, and he needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of work when it comes to being an NFL caliber wide receiver. And don't get me wrong, yeah, I understand the family ties and things like that, but just because a person comes from a particular family and you like them doesn't mean that they need to be drafted. Because again, I'm really concerned about this particular pick because it doesn't come off as like his skill was worthy of it, especially when you talk about other wide receivers that were still on the board, guys like Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin, don't get me wrong, he's real thin too, but at least you know what you're getting out of Troy Franklin. Devontae Walker, he was still on the board. I mean, he's right up the road in Baltimore. So, I mean, you had the opportunity. The other wide receiver that was still there, and it concerns me how much Cliff Kingsbury has a voice in the room, was Brendan Rice. Brendan Rice was still on the board. He's a bigger wide receiver. He also has family ties, and I wonder why Cliff Kingsbury didn't speak up, because I really, like I said, this doesn't mean that Luke isn't going to be a solid player. It's just for what he is in his current state, he's a developmental wide receiver, and I really didn't like that pick, especially, like I said, you had Troy Franklin that was still on the board, you had Devontae Walker that was still on the board, and you still had Brendan Rice on the board, who, again, was in a Cliff Kingsbury style system. So that's the only pick that I really didn't like, that really to me came off as like a nepotism or a favor pick versus what it actually should have been, where I think Luke would have probably survived to the 7th round. Because I don't think nobody was looking out for Luke because of the fact that he was converting from a quarterback to a wide receiver. Next is Jordan McGee. This was another one. It's not that I didn't like this pick. I would have liked if they had taken Jalen Ford instead. But I kind of get the pick because of the fact that, one, he's a very athletic linebacker. He gets around. He plays very well in space. Now, what happens to him is that when the space gets muddy, he gets lost. And he can get destroyed or taken out of plays and things like that. He's a very efficient tackler. Like, he will tackle. He makes the tackles. It's not a joke. It's not a game. He makes a lot of tackles. But, like I said, he plays very well in space. Outside of space, he's not that great. Like I said, when everything gets muddy around him, he doesn't come out and make the play. There's a lot of times where he'll get completely taken out of the play and everything like that. So, but here's the other part to this. Jordan McGee might be the replacement for Jamin Davis, depending on how well Jamin Davis plays and the possibility if they can sign him back next year. Jordan McGee is a very athletic guy. He does kind of remind me of Jamin Davis in regards to that athleticism, that speed to the ball and things like that. Doesn't have the size of Jamin Davis. He's smaller than Jamin Davis, but either way, that speed will help him out a lot. But again, I do feel that this particular move has more to do with Jamin Davis than anything else, because again, I would have rather them taken Jalen Ford at this pick. Again, Jalen Ford, fantastic middle linebacker that would have been the future of Washington at the middle linebacker position. But again, like I said, if they're looking at Jamin Davis, I get this pick. Next in the 5th round was Dominic Hampton. That was a good pick too. I think the only issues with Dominic Hampton is that he takes really bad angles when it comes to tackling, but the guy can play both safety spots. He can play both safety spots, and you can move him down to that quote-unquote nickel corner, Buffalo nickel or whatever, because they're not going to run that. But if you did want to put him down in the box, he's very effective down in the box. But like I said, he takes really poor angles when it comes to tackling. And sometimes he also misses tackles. And I don't think that he misses tackles because he's a bad tackler. I think he misses tackles because he wants the splashy looking play versus just making the play. So again, Dominic Hampton, that was a pretty good find in the 5th round. That was a very good find in the 5th round. So I did like that. But like I said again, he takes poor angles when it comes to tackling, and he misses a lot of tackles because of the fact that I think he's trying to make the splashy play versus just making the play. Last but not least, in the 7th round, they got Javonte Jean-Baptiste, the edge out of Notre Dame. Now, I remember Javonte more at Ohio State. I did see him last year at Notre Dame, because I will say this: he's a speed guy off the edge. And his favorite move is a spin move. Like that's his bread and butter is this spin move, and he's like absolutely fantastic at it. He does make a lot of plays. He doesn't get a lot of sacks, but he makes a lot of plays. Now, the reason why I remember him the most from Ohio State is because he played opposite of a lot of guys that I actually like. It wasn't that he necessarily played opposite, but there were times where he came in and played. So he played with Chase. He played with Jonathan Cooper. And he played with another guy that I wanted Washington to draft. Big 6'6" guy. Because the guy was also Harrison, Zach Harrison. Went to Atlanta. But Javonte Jean-Baptiste, he played opposite of those guys. So he is a very effective pass rush guy. Might start off as a situational guy probably with them. But, he plays very hard. He plays very hard. And like I said, his bread and butter is this spin move. He goes to that spin move, it's a wrap. He gets to the quarterback. He makes a lot of plays. He hurries the quarterbacks often. He plays very well, plays very up. But like I said, with him, well, the one thing with him is that his issue is run support. He's not great at run support. Like, he can be taken out of the play when it comes to running plays. So I like this pick. I really like this pick. I like the fact that they found him in the 7th round. But again, I'm excited. I think this was a very solid draft. If I was to grade it, I would give the draft a B+. I'm gonna say a B+, a skeptical B+. The only reason why is because I really didn't like the Luke McCaffrey pick, and that's me. Like I said, I don't know how other people might make you feel or how some of y'all might feel. I personally didn't like the Luke McCaffrey pick, especially when you had Troy Franklin, Devontae Walker, and Brendan Rice all still on the board. Guys who were already wide receivers, guys who aren't converting to wide receiver. And to me, it just made me feel like it was a little nepotism that was at play with that pick, because he still has a lot of development to go. The Jordan McGee pick, I liked it. I understand it. Again, I wish they would have taken Jalen Ford instead. But again, overall, this was actually a very solid draft. They did. Adam Peters and his group did a very good job. Like I said, we'll see how this goes. We'll definitely see how it goes year one, but we won't really find out about these guys till about year two. And that's with the hopes and intentions that, you know, the staff doesn't change that often. Again, I liked it. I'm excited for it. Y'all tell me what y'all think. What was your grade for this draft? What did you feel that you liked? What picks did you like? What picks did you not like? Because you might not have liked some of these guys. In fact, you might have sat up there and said, well, hey, why didn't we take a bigger receiver? So y'all tell me what y'all think. Other than that, this has been your man, John Fortune, and I'm back. Oh, another thing. I'm actually going to be doing a show on my hidden gems. The guys, because I wasn't doing it at first, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a show on my hidden gems and tell y'all where they went, where the hidden gems went, and which ones didn't get picked. But other than that, I'm going to show y'all that. Other than that, again, this has been your man, John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.